So I'm on this 2004 Toyota Tacoma, and I'm getting a code P0442, which is an evaporative emission system leak detected small leak. So I thought I'd do a video on it, on how you go about troubleshooting this if you wanted to. And what is this P0442 code? Well, modern cars, they have an evap system, and basically it takes the gas vapors from the gas tank, sends them back into the engine to get burnt off. And the onboard computer's seeing a problem with this, so we're gonna have to troubleshoot it to find out why. So first thing you want to go check when you get any evap code really is to go check the gas cap, and be sure that's good, and then we'll go from there. So I'll be right back. And so first thing to do, check out this gas cap, be sure it's good. I was told this was recently replaced, so it's very likely it is good. But the first thing to do, you always want to do, is check out the gas cap and be sure the seal is good. Be sure there's no cracks in it or anything like that, because the evap system needs to go into a slight vacuum in order to work properly, and this gas cap is a part of that. So if it's not working or sealing right, then it's going to cause issues. And one thing to mention is be sure to get an OEM gas cap when you do go to replace these, because third-party aftermarket ones, sometimes they don't seal right. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. So it's always best just to get a OEM one. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check out this purge valve, which on these 2004 Toyota Tacomas, if you come right above the fuse box, it'll be right here. And there's a different ways you go about testing this. Usually you do it with like a vacuum gauge or things like this, but I'll show you a real quick way you go about generally troubleshooting whether or not this valve is good or not. This basically is just a valve, and when the computer tells it to, it opens and all the gas vapors go up to the engine to get burnt off. And then when the engine's off, this is supposed to be closed. And so when you first start up this engine, it should stay closed until the engine warms up. And then once the engine warms up, it should open. So basically what you do is you just follow the hose going back to the charcoal canister, which would be this hose right here. And I'm going to take it off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start up the truck. When the engine's cold, there should be no vacuum right here, because this is going back to the intake manifold right now. There should be no vacuum. Once the engine warms up, this valve should open and you should feel a vacuum. If that doesn't happen, then there's something bad. So when the engine starts, if you feel a vacuum right away, then it's bad. If the engine warms up and there is no vacuum and it doesn't open up, then it's bad. So I'm going to go ahead and start it up, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I got it started. So right now, for the first 2, 3, 5 minutes, there shouldn't be no vacuum on that line. And I'm not feeling nothing. There is nothing on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for this engine to warm up. As soon as it warms up, this valve should open. Right now, if you were feeling a vacuum while the engine's cold, then it would be bad. So far, it's good though. And it should open up when the engine warms up. So I'm just going to wait 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then I'm going to check it again and see if there's a vacuum coming out. So I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. And this one took a little longer to start than usual. You can hear it right now. It is working right now. You can hear it trying to suck air. You can feel it also if you put your finger on it. The thing with this one though is I've been waiting about 15 minutes for it to come on, and I had to thunk this a few times, and it finally kicked on. So I'm starting to wonder if this is bad or not. I might go ahead and replace it. It might be good. It is working, but I think I'm going to go ahead and replace it just to be sure. But basically, this is a real quick way you could test these. I'll put a link to a video down below that I did on just these, on how you could test these if you wanted to. But if this doesn't test good, then the next thing to go and check is going to be for a leak somewhere inside these lines, and also down to the charcoal canister and the vent valve, which I'll show you next. And one thing I forgot to mention about this purge valve is that if it's not working, be sure to check the wiring, be sure it's connected, it's plugged in good. You could check it for any opens or shorts, check for a blown fuse, because if anything's wrong with the wiring or it's got a blown fuse or anything like this, then it could cause this purge valve to not work. So that's something to keep in mind. But if you test the purge valve and it checks good, the next thing you want to do is you want to check out all these hoses going around everywhere, and be sure they all look good, that they don't look cracked or anything like that. And these hoses, they'll be coming up from the bottom, from the gas tank to the charcoal canister on up here, and then it's going on up into the engine right here. As you can see, all these hoses do look good right here. I'll show you underneath. And the charcoal canister on these is located up over by the gas tank. And so it's right up there, up almost over the top of the gas tank. I'm going to have to remove this spare tire here to be able to really get up and in there. But basically, there's a hose coming from the gas tank going into that charcoal canister. It also contains a thing called a vent valve, which the computer opens or shuts at certain times to test the system. The vent valve is a common failure point. And when you go to troubleshoot these, you could do it a few different ways. If you have a good OBDII scan tool, you can enable it and see if the vent valve opens or shuts. You could often hear it click. and then you could just replace the vent valve if that's bad, or you could just replace the whole charcoal canister if you had to, if it does go bad. But the next thing to do is to look and check out all these hoses going to it. Hopefully you can see up in there. I got to remove the spare tire and be sure there's no leaks. And one way that you could test and see if there's any leaks is use a smoke machine. There's some low-cost smoke machines on Amazon or eBay or things like that. I'll put a link in the description if you need to check that out. But that's the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and feed smoke into the system and see if there's any leaks coming out anywhere. And just be sure everything's sealed up tight. All right, so I'm back and I got the smoke machine hooked up. I don't know if you can see that very good. This way the sun is shining on there, you can't really see the smoke coming out. But basically there's smoke coming out right here. And I'm just using this little low-cost smoke machine. I'm going to be feed smoke into the system, going back to the charcoal canister on the charcoal canister line hose, and I'm going to go check for leaks. Basically what I'm doing right now. Now you very likely won't have a smoke machine, so you can't just go around and check all these hoses all the way around and check them for leaks or anything like that. Like I said, I'll put a link down below if you want to check out what this is, this low-cost smoke machine. You can also build these yourself. You do need to hook up a compressor. So you will need a compressor to hook up so air can blow through it. There's a lot of YouTube videos on how you can make one of these on your own, DIY, real low-cost units. But basically, I'm just feeding in smoke, and I'm going to go back, I'm going to go around and check everything and just see if I see smoke coming out anywhere. And so the first thing you want to do when you have a smoke machine hooked up is you want to take the gas cap off and see if you see any smoke coming out to see if it came all the way through the system. Yeah, I can see some coming out. I'm not sure if that's showing up real good with the sun out here, but there is smoke coming out right now, building up in there, so that's good. It's also a good way to check the gas cap too to see if it's sealing. There should not be no smoke coming out from around that. And actually I do see some smoke coming out from that gas cap. I'm not sure if you can see that, but there is smoke coming out around this. I was told this was replaced, but it must not be the OEM original one or something, because that is not sealing correctly. And so yeah, this gas cap is not the correct one. This is why I was saying always get an OEM. Be sure it's an OEM gas cap, because that is not sealing up correctly. I'm trying to see if it's around this feeler. I'm going to check out this tube better. I don't see any damage on it. I'm going to try to clean this up around here. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I cleaned up around this gas cap and the neck part real good, and it didn't seal. I cut a hole in the plastic bag, layered it up a little bit and screwed it in, and there's no leak coming out now. So this gas cap is not the OEM gas cap. So that's what I need to do. I need to replace this gas cap. I was told it was, but it obviously isn't. There's obviously a problem, an issue there. The next thing that I would have checked, if this had tested good, I would have come underneath and looked at this charcoal canister up here, and then I would just check up here to see if there's any leaks coming out, and then go farther with that, which I don't see any leaks coming out of that charcoal canister or any problems right now going on. But that would have been the next thing to go and check, would have been this charcoal canister up underneath here by the gas tank. And so that's going to basically be it for me. I'm just going to have to get an OEM original gas cap is what the problem with this is. That's all it is. Even though I was told by the owner that it is, it's obviously not. But the next thing to do is after I replace the gas cap is I'm going to clear the code, and then I'm going to drive it around and be sure the light doesn't come back on. But that's basically it. If you have any questions to ask me down below and I'll try to answer them. If you have anything to add, please comment down below. If this video helps you, please click like, please click subscribe, and have a good day.